Hey, it's Tilly and welcome back. It's video number 3 in our series centered around this painting titled Congruent Vibrations. There's a link to the other videos in the description if you missed them, along with a link to all the free content I'm giving away to go with it, which includes an art print of this painting and a subconscious reprogramming meditation, which I encourage you to listen to every day as you go through this series. Okay, today's topic is super juicy and at the heart of this series discussion. Today we're talking about thoughts. Thoughts are the foundation to growth. They are where our words and actions begin. But last week I wanted to start with words because they can be easier to catch than thoughts. Words are a great way to notice what we're thinking because every word begins with a thought. But why is it so important to pay attention to the thoughts that we think? Well, because although sometimes they feel like waves that crash into us that we have no control over, in truth, we have 100% control over whether or not we believe the thoughts. And that really is a choice. It's a choice to continue to dwell on a thought or to let it pass on its way like a cloud. Neuroscience has explained that every time a thought is thought, it contributes to the neuron pathways in the brain, and the thought becomes easier to think the next time around. So sometimes it can be a long journey to break down old thought patterns by breaking the habits of thought. But what we don't use, we lose. And that's good news when it comes to forgetting and ridding ourselves of disempowering thought patterns. There's also connections from one thought to the next. Usually they have to be triggered by something. Hardly ever will a completely random thought arise. Usually they're connected to something in our experience, or more important to realize, they're connected to the last thought that we had. As a kid, when I was falling asleep at night, I always enjoyed tracing my thoughts back to see how I had been led to such a random place. I may have started thinking about teddy bears, yet ended up thinking about skyscrapers and ice cream. The same is true for day-to-day life. One thought leads to the next. But why is such a simple truth so important? Well, it's because of this truth that was absolutely pivotal in my own journey, and that is that if you're in a really down and out place, you just can't expect yourself to suddenly be optimistic. You have to gradually move your way up to that place. But also, we must understand that we don't get to that deep, dark place all of a sudden either. It starts with just a single unchecked thought. And maybe that first unchecked thought didn't really feel that bad, so it's not super easy to notice it. But that slightly disempowering thought led to the next, which eventually led to spiraling out of control, at least in my case. And at one point, I was under the impression that panic attacks just showed up out of nowhere. But once I started to watch my thoughts, I could see the connection. One negative thought led to the next until I lost all sight of my true self. And that's why it's so important to keep a close eye on the thoughts that we dwell on and entertain. There's nothing shameful about having negative thoughts, but the dwelling on them is simply a habit that can be changed if we choose and consciously make that decision. It may be a challenging road, but well worth it if you are patient. Our thoughts are full of power, and it's time for us to take our power back, regain the energy that we've been using to dwell on that which does not lift us up, and start dwelling on that which is in alignment with our highest good. Of course, not everybody has thoughts that paralyze them or hold them back. Thoughts are powerful in lots of other ways too. Our thoughts bring our attention to things, and that which has our attention is what gets our energy. And whatever we spend our energy on gains momentum. So when speaking about congruence in our thoughts, words, and actions, it's important to have the momentum of those areas all going in the same direction, because that's when growth and transformation truly begins. When we think positively half the time and negatively the other half, these thoughts cancel each other out. Our energy gets dispersed in so many different directions and creates distraction and a tug of war within. But what direction are we even talking about? The direction of going with the flow. Yes, with the flow of the divine dream for your life, with the flow of the natural desires and passions that we have been given and entrusted with, those that arise out of the true self and not the egoic false identity desires. So knowing that our thoughts draw our attention to something, we want to focus on what we want and not what we don't want. Sometimes this means changing the subject when our inner dialogue starts taking us somewhere that's not in alignment with the highest good. And sometimes this means stepping up and meditating on that which does go with the flow of life. Meditating and focusing on the flow itself, meditating on unity, unity with the true inner self, unity with one another, and most beautiful of all, unity with the divine all in all. Meditation is really a daydream. It's the place of imagination. It's a prayer. We're meditating all the time, whether we realize it or not. And so we must ask ourselves, what am I meditating on? What am I dwelling on? Thoughts are powerful because they invoke the imagination. They are the start to all things. And an idea is powerful. All things begin with ideas, and all thoughts are really just ideas. So how beautiful when we are unified with the highest good, and every thought becomes a divinely inspired idea. As mentioned in the first video of this series, beliefs are at the core of our thoughts. So opening up our imagination to the limitless possibilities available to us opens us up to living out our highest potential. What do you believe is possible? When we have a desire to be in alignment and live in congruence, we must also follow that up with belief and faith, because we cannot think beyond our beliefs. Once a therapist named Harrietta said to me, "If you truly believe in the blessings, you do not think any thoughts that doubt the blessings." Did you get that? You may want to re-listen to this video. I'll say it again. If you truly believe in the blessings, you do not think any thoughts that doubt the blessings. When you believe something, it will change how you interpret a situation. And so therefore, when you change what you assume to be true, you also change what shows up in your life experience. Believing and having faith in what you do not already see opens you up to the new possibilities and experiences. In true prayer, there is deep belief, and every word, thought, and action is an expression of the prayer our heart is truly holding. Faith and belief is what this series is all about. Embodying our belief, living out our faith in the unseen, in that highest good, in the divine dream for our life. Showing up in life like we've learned the lessons, talking, speaking, acting, and thinking in ways that prove to ourselves and others the truth of our true self and the truth of all of the limitless possibilities available to us. This is where we truly walk the talk. And why is belief so important? Because disbelief and gratitude cannot live on the same street. They just don't fit together. If you are actually grateful for your life and grateful for the full potential living inside of you already, you don't stifle your growth and your ability to show up with fears, doubts, and indecision. You just can't. If you do, then you miss out on the divine dream. And not only you, lots of people and the whole planet and environment misses out on the good you could have contributed. Plus, gratitude will naturally bring you into the flow of inspired thoughts. Gratitude brings you into the flow of inspired words. Gratitude brings you into the flow of inspired actions. Gratitude brings you into the flow, always. So whether you resonate more with the beginning of this video on releasing anxieties and the spiral of depression, or you resonate more with being deliberate about how you place your focus and being an open, surrendered conduit of divine power to work through you, know that you are exactly where you are meant to be in order to bring about the highest good in your life. You're not left behind. It's not too late. Start imagining and envisioning and interpreting your current circumstance from the perspective that everything happening and where you currently are and what you've been learning is a tool and a teacher and is contributing to you being able to step into the highest version of yourself. Interpret your current reality and circumstance in a way that empowers you by noticing how what is happening in that moment is contributing to your desires that are in alignment with the highest good. This is the time to embrace cognitive dissonance and disrupt patterns. Cognitive dissonance is the uncomfortable feeling you get when your brain says, "This isn't familiar, so it must not be safe. I'm going to put up guards and make change more challenging to accomplish." It can also help you in an uncomfortable way by saying, she says she wants to do this, but she's acting this way. I'm going to make it really hard for her to act this way because here in this brain world, we've been told to act this way. So regardless of how it shows up, it's usually uncomfortable. And though this doesn't sound inviting, this is a good thing. Discomfort is proof you're moving into a new state of being. Discomfort is just a normal occurrence that you must push through. After all, they say, it's darkest before the dawn. In the first video, I mentioned that this is about commitment to change. It's being intentional about what perspective you approach life with, casting off the old way of looking at things, the old way of thinking about things. In the first video, I mentioned that this is about commitment to change. It's being intentional about what perspective you approach life with, casting off the old way of looking at things and the old way of thinking about things. And to do this, if there's one thing you get from this video, it is to question the thoughts that you are thinking. Embrace the thoughts that empower you and let them gain momentum in your life. You, as much as I, have permission to play full out even though we're not perfect. You have permission to seek the highest vibrating thoughts, the best feeling thoughts. If you want to live a limitless life, you just can't limit your happiness. Sometimes a person may experience being uncomfortable with happiness and joy. Take a good look at your life. Are you thinking up to your full potential? We all deserve joy. Joy is the state of worship and is a place of humility, and there's nothing wrong with that. The one thing you want to take away from this video is to watch and question your thoughts and ask yourself, is this thought true? This is the question you must ask yourself. Is this thought true? And if it's not, debunk it and stop giving your power away to it. Take your power back. But I also want to hear your personal takeaway, so leave it in the comments so others can learn and grow alongside with us. I also encourage you to re-listen to this video a few times this week, maybe 2 to 3 times, because I've gone over a lot, and often our mind picks up on one thing and wanders for a while. So re-listening will help you pick up on anything you missed, as well as reinforce these concepts and make integrating what you've learned into your life a lot easier. Alrighty, thank you so much for watching, and please remember to download that content and listen to the meditation every day. Alrighty, until next week, bye.